Hello everyone, the Nerdy Steve here, and today I will be featuring a blue-white tempo deck in Standard. The list is in the description below. I'm going to talk a little bit about the plan of the deck, and then we'll play a couple of games. So, let's go. This deck mainly focuses on resolving an Illuminator Virtuoso, Ledger Shredder, and or Stormchaser Drake, or a combination of any of those, right? And then we want to protect that card with, shore up or slip out the back. And when we do that, we not only are triggering the abilities of our creatures, Illuminator Virtuoso connives and gets bigger, Stormchaser Drake draws us more cards, and if we cast two of them, Ledger Shredder loots and gets bigger, right? And we want to be able to do that while protecting these cards and making them bigger with like Homestead Courage or Combat Research in order to draw into more things and to protect them better and then hopefully win. That's like the generic idea of the deck. And yeah, we also have Dennick, Pious, Apprentice as something that, can hold combat research very well, and it works really, really great with getting pumped up with Homestead Courage, and also is some form of, interaction or anti-interaction against graveyard decks. And that's really it. There's nothing more to explain. The deck is much simpler to explain than to actually see in action. There's a lot of very, very interesting decisions to make. Do you play your Illuminator Virtuoso on turn 2 when you can't protect it with a shore up? And that is going to really, really depend on matchup to matchup or how you play as a player. And so we'll go see me play a couple games, and you can criticize me and tell me how wrong I am. So let's go. Okay, this looks like a decent hand we'll keep. We might be able to do the really cool... If we can Dennick on 2... Compulsive Research is... Or Combat Research is very, very good here. Specifically for opponent is maybe a slower deck. Ooh, Esper. Alright, no, I think Combat Research is gonna be good here. If our opponent has a Liliana, obviously it's a little less than good. So let's hope that doesn't happen, but... It didn't. So I am very, very shocked. I'm very, very happy. But I'm very, very shocked. Make disappear, okay. Can't be... What's it face? The Wandering Emperor here. Our opponent can Wandering Emperor, then destroy it during their turn. Potentially. Oh. Obscure Interceptor. Was not anticipating that one. We should have played the planes first so we could have kept up a Tranquil Cove to bluff anything for white and blue mana. So that was a mistake on my part. Hmm. Alright, our opponent is letting us draw, which we love. Okay. Let's get a... What one do we think is more important? Or do we want to keep both Slip Out the Back and Shore Up up? That's interesting. I think we don't mind both. And this is one of the parts I really, really like about the deck is I could have played a Stormchaser Drake and I could have played an Illuminator Virtuoso, and both of those would have been really, really valid things to do. And there's just a lot of agency in how you want to play this deck and what you're playing around and what you're expecting, and I don't think one way is necessarily wrong or right. I think they are just ways to do it. Well, now we have the security bypass here, which is security bypass is like really, really surprisingly one of the strongest things we can be doing in this deck, right? Specifically on a Dennick with a research on it. I think I'm going to discard the Illuminator Virtuoso because I want to play a land. And now we have so much, or so many ways to protect Dennick that I'd be very, very hard pressed to find us in a losing position, even if our opponent potentially loot or connives 3 times here. We're also at 37 life, right? So Dennick is really, really pulling weight here, which I love. You want your cards to perform well. We can shore up here. And maybe I will. Maybe I will. Because we also do want this to be lethal, right? Next turn. So we're probably going to shore up anyway. Now, again, our opponent could have removal or interaction. But Dennick has also Ward 1 because of the combat research, right? So it's going to take a lot for our opponent to kill Dennick. Now, a Meat Hook Massacre for a lot would maybe be problematic, but we also ultimately can slip out the back. So what I actually think I want to do here, I'm going on full control because I don't know if we'll get priority. I think I want to slip out the back, the Dennick, anyway. Because our opponent only has 1 card in hand, and we can, in response, shore it up if we needed to. I forgot that the Obscura Interceptor had lifelink. So that may have changed my math a little bit, but I think we're still fine. Huh. That's all good. We attack here. We're at 51, by the way. Discard. I really legitimately forgot Obscure Interceptor had lifelink. Otherwise, I may have gotten lethal another way. And I hope that doesn't come back to bite us. So what we're going to do here is slip out the back the Obscura Interceptor, because this stops our opponent from conniving for 5 and finding potentially something that could kill Dennick. Tenacious Underdog, okay. GG. That was close. So we have a little bit of a problem where we don't have a turn to play right now, because even though we have 2 lands, they come into play tapped. Which is, you know, not ideal. But our opponent mulliganed and has evolved Sleeper. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Our opponent doesn't have removal for Dennick here. We're in a really, really good spot, because we get the security bypass with Shore Up or March of the Swirling Mist. Up. Up. Alright, so we can security bypass this. We will attack. Opponent cannot block. We now get to connive. I want to discard a Virtuoso. And then we say go. And this is kind of what we're going to be doing the next several turns. So our opponent's going to Liliana the Veil to try and kill our Dennick, which we will then march away. We have to get rid of a Shore Up, which is a little sad.
One of your friends has to leave.
We can then attack Lily here. And then Ledger Shredder. And I think we want to keep the land for our conniving down the line. Shore Up will protect us again against any specific removal, and because we have Ledger Shredder, we now have Liliana protection for our Dennick. We will not block here. Now, right now, this is a clock that we are winning, but it can change very, very soon. Oh, Combat Research was literally the perfect card. Not only does it make our Dennick much harder to kill, and increase, you know, the power and toughness, so we're gaining more life, but now, you know, we're drawing more cards and being able to connive much more effectively. So, like, this is very, very... That was probably the best draw we could have had. Yeah. And I will discard a Ledger Shredder. Again, that will increase Dennick's power, which in a race is really, really good. We also have to be cognizant, because sometimes you get a little too ambitious, and with stuff like Combat Research or Security Bypass, if we attack with both creatures, our opponent can then block. So I have to be aware if our opponent plays a 1-drop, that we can only attack with Dennick, and not Dennick and Ledger Shredder. Like now, we're just going to attack with the Dennick. We'll draw, and then we connive. I'm going to discard that. I think that's fine for now. We'll keep the slip out the backs and the shore up. GG. Okay, our opponent goes first. I like this hand because we have the Dennick and Combat Research combo. We get to make a play every turn. Like we have the tap Tranquil Cove followed by Plains and then Adarkar Wastes. So we have 3 lands and it comes to play untapped on turn 2, which is very, very important. Warrior's Briefcase. I have no idea what to expect here, everyone. So I am running out the Dennick because it leaves Dennick very, very vulnerable to any removal our opponent has, which is absolutely terrible for us, right? If our opponent can interact with Dennick here, but if not, we're in a really good spot. I mean, and really good is kind of relative, but good enough for me. I wish we had security bypass so it could attack and start drawing us cards, but you know, not everything can be perfect. Though we can wish it were. The good thing is Dennick is providing a very, very big threat. Is a very, very big threat right now. Is gaining us a lot of life. I don't like that. Ouch. Oh, that wasn't that bad. Never mind. Let's attack here. We don't need to Homestead Courage. We don't need the Vigilance, right? Yeah, because our opponent's probably blocking, so that's fine. We want to save Homestead Courage for when we really need Dennick to block, or we just really want it to have Vigilance, right? So I think it was fine to not do that there. I think. Our opponent conceded. Okay, GG. Well, everyone, thank you for watching me play some blue-white tempo in Standard. This deck was pretty phenomenal, actually. And I think one of the cool things about it is it's definitely a deck that rewards multiple playthroughs and really, really learning it well. You know, there were times where I didn't know how to prioritize the protection spells versus, you know, the creatures. When do I want to connive away a land versus conniving away, you know, a spell to get that +1/+1 counter, even though that spell might be able to, you know, protect my creature from something my opponent does, but maybe the +1/+1 counter, you know, quickens the clock a little bit. And so there is a lot of different moving parts in such a tight game and tight deck that I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to playing with this more. I think it might have a good matchup against the mono black decks. This is the sideboard that we currently have. So in best of 3, you know, we have Spell Pierce and Fading Hope that might be good in, you know, the more mid-range metagame that's going around. But in the best of 1 format, I think this is fairly fine. It does a lot things very, very cheaply, and it does it well. And I also think there is room to find a playstyle that may be more suited to yours. I think, you know, Dorothea is very, very interesting and cool, but I could definitely see adding more security bypass and more Dennick, because that's a little more of a easier and obvious combination to do that's really, really good. And Dorothea might be a little too cute. I could also see potentially, you know, bringing in, you know, Fading Hopes or Spell Pierces, maybe instead of, you know, instead of Security Bypass or Dorothea, to, like, be a little more defensive in your spells. Or, you know, changing out March for something else. Like, you can change out a lot of these cards for, you know, all not interchangeably, but they change the texture and the playstyle of the deck just so minutely, but they do. And that can really, really benefit you as a player if you know how proactive or reactive you like to be in your games, right? Maybe, I don't know. Just a thought. With all that being said, if you haven't already, like, comment, or subscribe. They are great ways to help support me in this channel. You could also follow me at twitch.tv/thenerdysteve. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.